Hello everyone and welcome back to Monsters of the Mind. As always, I'm your host Mr.G. As you can see, we're finally back to the status quo of things, as we got Vincent back, and I found our camera in the hands of an ogre statue for some reason. But enough dilly-dally. Today we're looking at another literary monster, with a group of uplifted animals known as Beast People. Beast People means beast person, and they were a species. Considering that they were animals, I guess they could be considered morally neutral. They lived on the island of Dr. Moreau, and that's the book where they come from, which was written by H.G. Wells. The Island of Dr. Moreau was written by famous sci-fi author H.G. Wells, whose other notable works include The Invisible Man, which is about a man who becomes invisible, and War of the Worlds, which is about Earth getting attacked by Martians. The story of Moreau begins with a man named Edward Prendick surviving a shipwreck and getting rescued by a man named Montgomery, who is on a boat full of animals heading to a mysterious island. The two eventually reach it, and we find out it belongs to the titular Dr. Moreau, a man who fled England after his gruesome experiments involving vivisection were publicly revealed. The next day, Prendick is walking through the forest when he encounters strange creatures that seem human yet have features that are distinctly pig-like. He ends up knocking one of them out and realizes that they are indeed weird hybrids between animal and man. When he questions Montgomery about this, he claims that he knows nothing about this. The next day, he walks in on Moreau doing experiments on a humanoid figure covered in bandages. Unfortunately, Moreau sees him and kicks him out, which makes Prendick fear that he will be the next test subject. He flees into the jungle and encounters someone who is half man, half ape. He takes him to a tribe full of other beast people where there, he learns the laws, such as not being allowed to walk on all fours, not being allowed to attack humans, and not being allowed to eat meat. If any of these rules are broken, there will be punishments. Moreau walks in on this, and while Prendick tries to drown himself, Moreau tells him that the beast people weren't human, but rather animals that he made humanoid-esque. He also explains he's been doing this for 11 years, and although successful at first, the beast people almost always revert back to their animalistic instincts after a while. One day, Prendick and Montgomery come across a half-eaten rabbit, which is a big no-no since, as stated earlier, eating meat is strictly against the rules of the beast people. They end up finding out that it was a leopard who broke the rules, and Moreau tries to apprehend him in order to do more experiments on him, but Prendick feels bad for the leopard and ends up shooting him in order to spare him from any more pain. A while later, Prendick is actually getting used to the beast people, but unfortunately, one of Moreau's experiments, a mountain lion woman, ends up breaking from her restraints and attacking the doctor, and they both end up getting fatally wounded. Montgomery has a breakdown over this and starts to drown his sorrows with alcohol. Unfortunately, because he shared some with the beast folk, they ended up going nuts and killed him, his servant, as well as the law sayer. And plus, Prendick accidentally knocked a lamp over, which caused the compound to catch on fire, and to rub salt in the wound. Montgomery ended up destroying the boats in his drunken fit. So for the next few months, Prendick has to live with the beast people, who slowly start reverting back to their animalistic instincts. This culminates in a hyena-pig hybrid killing Prendick's closest beast folk companion, who was a St. Bernard man. Thankfully, with help from a sloth, he kills the hyena pig. One day, a lifeboat with dead bodies floats to the island and Prendick can finally escape. Unfortunately, he starts becoming paranoid around humans, thinking that they'll end up reverting back to animalistic instincts. Not to mention, no one believes his stories either, and they think he's gone mad. So he ends up isolating himself in the country where he became an astronomer. The end. Now here's Vincent. Yep, there is an island in my world full of weird human hybrids. They're, weird. They can talk and do things humans can do, but they just look weird. They're covered in stitches, they do not look right, several features look like they don't belong where they are, and yeah, it's just plain creepy. I don't go to that island a lot. Now let's look at the card. As you can see, they depicted the leopard man who broke the law, which is... I mean, at least they depicted one who was in the books, and they didn't just make one up, which is admirable. And yeah, this card is pretty faithful to the books. It tells its story quite well, it describes the beast people quite nicely, it mentions the fact that they slowly start to regain their instincts, talks about the puma who killed Moreau. Yeah. So yeah, this card is very good, and I give it a 10 out of 10 for accuracy. I can't think of anything wrong with this card. Now let's look at some pop culture adaptations of this story. There have been 3 movie adaptations. One wasn't actually named after the book and was instead called The Island of Lost Souls. there was also an adaptation in 1977 and 1996. In all three of these movies, the Beast People are portrayed by people with furry prosthetics. This is what they did before CGI. There's also Spy Kids 2, Island of Lost Dreams, which could be considered a loose adaptation since it's a similar plot with a mad doctor hidden on an island experimenting on animals. So, you know what? I consider it a count, you know. So, you know what? It counts. There's a movie called House of Pain, which bills itself as a sequel to the book, but it's one of those horror movies that's just nothing but gore, so, I can't show any pictures of it because even the poster isn't safe for YouTube, so look this one up at your own risk. And this work has been parodied several times, like in The Simpsons and in the Cartoon Network show Johnny Bravo. That's all for this episode of Monsters of the Mind. Join us next time when we talk about worms. Bye!